Hello everyone. My name is Olga Stanchik, and as you know, I work at Vilnius Tech University at the Center of Strategic Partnership, and I am responsible for the alumni field. So today I'm very glad to introduce you our alumni, Darius Snieska, who has finished bachelor studies in automotive engineering at our university, and he is also now a president of our university alumni and friends club. And Darius is now working in one of the biggest transportation companies, Scania, Lithuania. And this is like just a short introduction of him. And now, Darius, the floor is yours, so you could start your talk.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Olga, for giving me a stage. Yeah, so maybe I will present shortly myself. First of all, a bit of maybe about my study background. As Olga mentioned, yes, I am a bachelor of Vilnius University, the transport engineering field. So I have the background on the transport engineering, and besides that, I also have an MBA degree on the international trades, and that was acquired from the other university. And just recently, last year, I also finished the executive MBA course from the Baltic Management Institute. So I would say lifelong learning, which is still continuing. When it comes to the professional background, that is mainly actually in the automotive segment. And also, as Olga mentioned, now I am working currently at one of the biggest commercial transport providers, the Scania company. I am heading the Lithuanian organization of the dealerships of Scania in Lithuania, just to be to understand the scope of such a company in Lithuania. We are roughly, not roughly actually, probably pretty exactly 132 people, selling around 1,000 new commercial vehicles in Lithuania. We have 4 dealerships in Lithuania, and our yearly revenue is more than 100 million euros per year. And that is only one Lithuania. I mean, the Scania as a global company, of course, has a very wide scope presented in the many continents. In majority of countries have more than 50,000 employees and more than 16 billion euros of revenues. So that's the total the scope of the organization. I've been employed at Scania more than 20 years ago. Actually, I started my career at Scania in 1998 in Lithuania also, but then moved to some other countries, worked with also together with Scania, representing Scania in other countries, worked with the variety of businesses. So it is quite good, how to say, insight when you are working not only in one part but in other parts of the world, seeing the other people and doing business with the other companies and other nationalities. So that is a great opportunity, and that was a great opportunity which was provided to me from Scania organization. So basically, yeah, from 1998 until now, I am fully working with Scania. Before 1998, I had some experience in the sales of the passenger cars. That was Hyundai, Mitsubishi, Fiat passenger cars. So basically, actually, all my professional career, I would say, it was based on the automotive segment. And maybe it is not a coincidence that my first major, how to say, graduation of university was especially in the transport engineering. That probably was a part of the success why I moved to the automotive industry. So that is, I would say, maybe a short presentation of me. Maybe some other questions will arise. So we'll be happy to answer or to share some more experience.
And so maybe somebody, yes, I see Konstantinos have a question. Okay, so please.
Yes, thank you very much, Darius, for your presentation. Indeed, this is how do we develop and we are making the presentations through this series of lectures, like the Athena career talks. And my first question is the following. I mean, what are the main competencies, technical and, from the soft skills perspective, that a multinational company like Scania is looking for?
I would say Scania is quite typical and quite conservative automotive organization. I mean, if we take on the history of such company, it has a lifelong history. I mean, it was created in 1891. So that company itself has its own very strong values, very strong leadership principles, and I mean, more than 100 years of history of the automotive industry. I mean, it has gone through many, crises, ups and downs, and survived. And I mean, to work in such organization, well, first of all, of course, you need the I would say depends on the field where you need when you want to work. I mean, the big organization, you can work in the, for example, in the technical part of organization, as an example, research and development. So at that part of the world, I mean, you will for sure need quite strong technical skills, where such universities as Vilnius Tech University or other universities are providing. I mean, I was really happy to graduate the Vilnius Technical University, because I gained quite important background, I would say, on the technical skills, which I needed to implement it in my work. Though I was not working at the technical part, for example, of Scania. I was not working with R&D. I was always working on the commercial part. Generally, I would say such companies, if you want to have a brighter view and work maybe more on commercial part, you need to have quite good overview of the economical skills, finance skills, marketing skills. But I would say one of the most important is still the technical skills. I mean, you are working with the transport, you are working with the components, because you need to understand the vehicle from the inside. And the technical skills help you to understand what is the vehicle all about. If you don't have such overview or have only commercial skills, you might be a good salesman, you might be a good maybe marketing person, but I mean, you will not understand the overall situation of for example, of the customer needs. So both commercial and technical parts are needed, even if you're working in the commercial part of the organization.
Darius, I will add on what did you say? I totally agree. But I will say, in order to be a good salesman, you need to have technical skills, because you are going to sell on the comparative advantages that your technology, your company demonstrates compared to the others. And you need to have these details, because these are going to make the differences. So I will say that you cannot be a salesman in a technology company if you don't have the feeling and knowledge of the critical advantages of what did you say compared to the competitors. I think that this is a crucial in order to sell, because you are going to direct your negotiation, your presentation is going to be tailored based on these advantages.
Absolutely, 100% agree on this, and probably that was also one of the priorities when I was applying to my position at Scania. At that time, I had technical knowledge. I didn't have so much of commercial knowledge. I gained it through the experience, then of course through studies and so on. But the technical knowledge was a background, and yeah, I totally agree with you, Konstantinos. And as I mentioned, the technical knowledge helps you to understand the core, I would say, basis of the organization, also of the transport unit or vehicle which you are selling. Maybe I would like to add a bit on the changing, I would say, market environment, especially today's environment, because I remember 20 years ago when I started to work at the transport sector, it was changing environment. But compared to today's, it was quite stable. Now what we have, I mean, environment is changing year by year, and new competitors are arriving. Those who we didn't even know a year ago. I mean, new energy sources are arriving, new vehicles are arriving. So many disruptions are coming from many parts of the market. So I would say what you need probably to have is the technical knowledge, is the basis of it, commercial background, but you need to feel, the market, and I would say this leadership principles you need also to develop yourself, even if you are dealing as a salesman directly with a customer, because in the end, what we see now and what the transport industry sees now, that the technical conditions of the vehicles, they are, becoming more and more similar. It is much more difficult to argue which component is better or worse if we talk about ourselves or about our competitors. But it is so much important to have the very good connection and the feeling of your customer. And if you have this, I mean, this is what customers value. They value much more the personal relations sometimes than the components, or one or other component is better. So I mean, the overall scope is of course needed, but don't also forget about this personal touch, which is absolute must now in the sales organization.
Darius, this is something that we very much value in our European university. We have developed a whole series of lectures the last 2 years. We have our training programs in soft and research skills development together with McKinsey and Boston Consulting. So it's something that we value because, as you said, it's like, how are you going to communicate your knowledge? It's what happens, in any university. You can go to Vilnius Tech, but not all the professors are the same. I mean, the way that you teach, the way that you present makes the difference. Of course, as I mentioned, details, technical details are very important, but as you said, Darius, paired and matched with the soft skills, it will make the difference. It will make you the salesman of the year, let's say, and we know that these are money. My second question, if you don't mind, Olga, if I cannot see any other hand, I'm going to operate like a journalist. My second question on this, Darius, is like, since the technology is evolving so much, since technology is very much deep into the automobile, let's say, industry. Now, if you go especially on the lorries, that Scania is very famous. It's like the cockpit, it's like a cockpit. The driver is like to fly an aircraft. So I would like to ask you, do you offer to your technical staff or to your employers upskilling programs in order to follow the technology, or even to the salesman? Because as we said, you need to know how the technology is progressing through your company. So do you offer upskilling or reskilling programs in Scania?
Yes, we do. If we are talking about our own employees, each year they need to be rescaled or upscaled, as you're saying. Otherwise, we will be left far behind the markets, and the market will overtake us. As an example, the new technologies is coming, and you are noticing in the production of new passenger cars, the same trend goes in the new commercial vehicles. The software technology and software development is surpassing actually the hardware development. It's not so much of a hardware which is now being developed. Yeah, there are some developments. On the internal combustion engines, on the gearboxes, on the other parts of the hardware. but the main development is actually the software, the issues which are combining a lot of technologies of the vehicle into one place and sharing information with the other stakeholders. So in order to maintain such vehicle, you need to be prepared. I mean, technician, for example, that 5 years ago, our main goal for technician was that he or she should be able to have a very good hardware knowledge. Yeah, especially on the upscale works like repairing, for example, of the engines, which are now very complicated, repairing of the gearboxes, rear axle gears, some cab components, and so on. So, I mean, today, it is much more important to have or upscale the person into the very high level electrician. Because if you don't know how to deal with the electricity today in the vehicle, you might be, well, first of all, you will not be able to probably maintain vehicle, to repair it. And when more and more electrical vehicles are coming, especially also in the commercial side, you need to know what electricity means. I mean, from the background. And I'm talking not about the, you know, the 12 volts or 24 volts. I'm talking about, I mean, 800 volts, 1000 volts, or for example, the capacity of batteries around 700 kilowatt hours. We are talking about a huge amount of power, which might be, first of all, deadly to the person. But if you know how to handle it, you will be perfectly set for the maintaining such vehicles. So that is from the technical part. From the sales part, it is a must that our employees, the sales team, undergoes the sales training each year. For example, this year we will have, if I'm not mistaken, 2 physical trainings of our sales staff in Sweden to how to handle or how to develop the sales talks and sales of the electrical vehicles. They need to have it, otherwise they will not be able to even, you know, to sell the vehicle which is needed for a customer nowadays. So yes, every year at least once for the personnel, all personnel, I would say, sales personnel and technical personnel. Maybe sometimes even not once, but sometimes more times. So that's the answer actually. Yeah.
So this is also a reason for someone to come and join one of our young students if he would like, or if she would like to join Scania, because Scania, a part of a big firm, is a firm that takes care of the personal development of their staff. Should I understood well?
Absolutely, absolutely. Regardless if you are a young employee or if you are just coming to our company, or you are the employee who is working a number of years, you need to I mean, the development is the same actually for all the persons. So we are not leaving, you know, young employees without, for example, without the development. Everybody needs to develop the skills. I would also say one example, I think it was last year, which we started to implement not only the young students, but also the university teachers or some professors, which we were taking a group of Lithuanian universities and colleges and bringing to Scania for a short overview in Södertälje in Sweden. So I think there were also some Vilnius Tech professors who were able to see our company from the inside, how the Scania is made, to drive the vehicle, to feel it, you know, to touch it. So that was more actually on the how to development part and relationship part with the universities. That we also do with the university.
I have more questions about this, but I will provide the floor. Thank you. If Olga is not going to do to Konstantin, and then I have more questions. Konstantin, the floor is yours.
My question is also, it's actually related to that. So maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your career path in the company, because if I understood it correctly, you've been working for Scania since 1998, right?
Right, correct.
So maybe you can tell us what made you stay in the company for such a long time, and then maybe more general, what do you think should companies offer to their employees to avoid them being recruited by other companies?
Yeah.
And can I add on exactly what Konstantin? I would like to add another aspect. Give us a tips how a young employee or a young graduate that would like to join Scania, what are the tips in order to stay so long as you have stayed?
Three good questions. I hope I will. I think I will answer them all. Maybe it will not be in such order as you have asked, but I think you will get an answer on all of this. Otherwise, you just ask me again. I'll start from my career. I mean, I joined Scania quite coincidentally, I would say. I was working as a salesman of the passenger cars. At that time, I was selling Hyundai and Mitsubishi cars, and at the same time, I was actually studying in Vilnius University, transport engineering. So that was studies and work. Somehow, I was managing to combine it, and yeah. In the work environment in the passenger car, or at least at that company where I was working, was not satisfactory. And I just found, at that time it was a very simple advertisement in a newspaper. Scania organization Lithuania is looking for a salesman. And I applied, and I think one of the biggest priorities why the company chose me was actually the technical background. I still was not, haven't finished the technical university at that time, but I had a technical background already. I was I think on the last course or of the studies. So, I mean, I could easily handle the technical knowledge, what they asked me. Secondly, I already had some background on the sales of the cars. So it was quite easy to switch it to the commercial organization and sales of commercial cars. At that time, I had no idea what the truck is, frankly speaking. But it was quite easy to adapt to the company. Then, I mean, the career has started, the main thing, I think, what every young employee has to do, he or she actually has to be brave enough to do the extra mile. And I mean, extra mile, even if you are not feeling very strong in your field, you don't need to be afraid to take the extra mile and have done additional work apart from the work which was asked you to do by your manager. Do a bit more. Show him or her that you can do it, even if you have some mistakes. You can learn from mistakes. You can learn from mistakes. Then you will be even stronger. So that path I was choosing, and I was probably lucky that at that time, and that was 98, 2000. I came into a Scania organization which was international one, and as I mentioned in the beginning of my presentation, I mean that organization has a very strong leadership principles. And if an organization has strong leadership principles, like, yeah, I mean, you can take responsibility, you can share responsibility with others. Nobody will judge you if you will make mistakes. And I felt after my first mistakes, after my second or third mistake I felt that there is a trust in me, because I mean, still I was doing such probably more good things than bad things. I developed into the quite good salesman, and quite soon, not only salesman, but also some managerial positions. So that is, I think, my very, very strong advice, especially if you go to the big international companies. Do an extra mile, it will be needed. Everybody expects it. Maybe not so many managers ask to do this, but I can tell you 99.9% of the managers expect you to do extra mile. That's a real life. And secondly, don't be afraid to make mistakes, because if you do an extra mile, you will simply probably will do some mistakes. But that, if the company is internationally, I mean, and if it is a respected company, nobody will punish you on this. Then I would say, secondly, I mean, when you are starting to develop in such organization, suddenly you start to get quite a lot of offers, or well, at least decent amount of offers. Where do you want to develop? And I received an offer to develop in the foreign country, in Sweden. So I went from Lithuania to Sweden. It was a challenge for me. It was a new experience because I needed to work in the different environment with the different people, with a different language. Though, of course, Sweden is really international country. I mean, everybody speaks English. But still, I mean, the mentality of people is different. Scandinavian mentality with Lithuanian, it has a certain amount of differences. And it was, again, well perceived from the internal organization that, okay, newcomer is coming, so not a big worry if you make some mistakes, but everybody was encouraging you to make an extra mile and don't be afraid to do this. Soon after that, I received an offer to work in Scania in Russia. Well, Russia, maybe it is a quite bad word. I mean, when we are talking about this due to this war, but at that time, when I started to work in Russia, it was 2008. That was an emerging market, and Scania there had a huge amount of market. It was 25% of the market, which we had, selling 9,000 new vehicles in the market. Big potential, which of course ended in 2022. So Scania went out of the market. But I spent there 10 years knowing Russian language, because I knew this language from my school years. I was managing one of the big departments in Scania in Russia. I was selling buses and engines to the customers. So I would say it was a great experience and a lot of new possibilities where you can contribute to your company and to yourself. So why I stayed in this company? I think the main reason was that the company was providing me with the new challenges. Well, maybe not every day. I would be probably too optimistic, but probably, well, I don't know, every month, every year, it was a new challenges which you needed to take, be brave enough to say, yes, you can do this. And these challenges were emerging, you know, into new markets. You could travel around the world. You could travel in various countries, meet new people. And if you are such style of a person, if you like that, if you can sacrifice something, for example, well, your free time, yeah, then I think you can do it. So challenge, everyday challenge. This is important. I mean, the company, commercial organization, successful commercial organization, the big corporation will always demand a challenge from each personnel, each employee. It depends how you can manage this challenge. If you can do this, then it's absolutely fine, and you will be really enjoying the corporate life, I would say, of organization. And corporate life, there are some good things, there are some bad things, but I will not talk about bad things.
But listening to you, Darius, I will translate this exactly what you say to a specifics of skills that we should develop our students since the students. So this capacity should be developed from the university years, like resilience, how to cope with failure and keep going. So to learn how to fail forward and learn problem solving, because this is the challenge that you should do. And this comes from the pedagogy. How do we teach? And I have seen a lot of exams in the university amphitheaters that I'm sorry to say that, a lot of academics, they don't know how to teach, included me, that I'm one of the academics. And, this is like the best way how to teach, to develop soft skills. You don't need particular courses. The particular courses give the tips, as your lecture now is doing. So I will keep, what did you say, the extra mile, which is something that when you would like to progress, always in your life, you should learn to do the extra mile. In our everyday, we should do our extra life in order to progress. And I will keep it for the rest of my life. I will keep this as an expression, to do the extra mile. This is very nice.
Yeah, you're right. This is not only applicable, as you said, to the work and to big corporations. I mean, if you want to be successful, yeah, you need to do this extra mile, because otherwise others will do this extra mile for you, and then you will be left.
Exactly. Can I do, Olga?
Yes.
Not
of
me,
course.
my
George,
colleague George. Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Darius, for accepting our invitation, the Athena University invitation. And thank you also for your presentation and tips and directions for our students. Two questions. The first one is Scania Lietuva has collaborations with local companies, small, medium enterprises or startups in order to develop something technical and so on. And the second one is if there are opportunities in the framework of an organized internship program for accepting students, and more specifically international students in Scania Lietuva. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, George. First question to answer you specifically, particularly Scania Lietuva doesn't have or we are not working directly with the startups, for example. We are the dealership, or we are the distributor of our mother company, but our mother company, Scania, they do this. They have also the separate branch. We call it the Scania Ventures, and they are partly financing startups, also organizing startup fairs every year, both from internal startups, because there is also, the case where the company has internal groups as a startup developing new features, software, hardware, you name it, but also external startups. So everybody's there is startup weeks. It goes in Scania every April, if I'm not mistaken. And I mean, a lot of companies are coming into the Södertälje, into Sweden, very close to Stockholm. They are doing presentations, presenting their findings, their solutions. And most successful of them are actually taken by Scania Ventures and partly financed. So this is where Scania is doing this. Scania is doing as all the other big corporations are doing. The startups are important part of the ecosystem of the automotive business, and our mother company is doing this. So if you are interested particularly on this part, I could maybe later on, maybe not during this conversation, just provide you the contacts and of the Scania Venture. So maybe if you have some startups who would like actually to join such startup week or do visible to Scania, they could apply actually directly to Scania Ventures, and they could have a look at them.
Yeah, clear.
So this is one thing. Another thing, the internships. We are doing internships in Lithuania with several colleges. Or, for example, our maybe a bigger focus is on the technician side, and that, I mean, technician side is I don't want just to say that it is a bit lower side than the university side, but in generally it is the colleges or the higher schools which are preparing technicians So we are also cooperating with them and providing some internships for the youngsters who would like just to go there, to go to our company. We are providing the quite thorough scope of the training of the technician, what he or she should know about the new vehicle and become a technician in the future. So that's on the technician side. From the university side, if we're talking about that level, we might think about it. We were thinking actually even with Vilnius Tech to have an internship, but what we have decided this year, we will open a Scania laboratory in one of the Vilnius Tech university premises, where we will equip it with the more know-how actually of the new vehicles. We will provide some trainings to the teachers or to the professors about the new about the news of the vehicles and the automotive industry, so they can transform or transfer these messages to their students. So that we will do this year, and the 5-year agreement was signed with the Vilnius Tech in 2023, end of 2023. So we will cooperate with Vilnius Tech on this. But we can think also about the internships. I mean, if any student who is in Lithuania or would like to try the possibilities to work on the commercial side or technical side of Scania in Lithuania, we could be glad to discuss with that student and see his or her profile and see what we can do.
Okay, thank you. You are quite clear, Darius. Thank you.
But also, Darius revealed a very big issue and challenge that Europe faces, because Europe has promised 50% of university graduates, 50% of the population in Europe to have a university degree. And now we are facing a challenge what Darius is mentioning. They are looking for technicians because they cannot find technicians, the majority of the companies. There is a lack of technicians because all of them, they have 50% or more, they have university degrees right now. And, they cannot match, what the market needs. And I will say to you, Darius, that there are specific calls, and, probably I will come in contact with you and through the Athena about vet centers, regarding the vet education. And together with industry, I think that the universities, we can develop programs, tailored, minor programs using micro-credentials or open digital badges that we are going to train through the universities expertise that the market, and in this particular case, the automobile is looking for. So I think that this is something that we should place as a target as a European university. This is, one. And you mentioned that you train teachers in order to transfer their knowledge to the high schools or to the university level. This is something that I missed.
We will have some trainings for the Vilnius Tech University teachers. So that will be knowledge transfer to their students. So that's actually will be university teachers.
Correct.
And I don't know if this is if this information what we will provide will be the level of university, but what we will provide actually will be the up-to-date and know-how of the newest technology what automotive industry is facing. Because what we see in many universities, I was also, I was in Vilnius Tech University, of course, many years ago, but I remember what kind of components I was looking at, and what kind of vehicles were presented to me. That was the Stone Age vehicles, and not only vehicles, but the components. Today's components and today's hardware, and especially software, is changing every year. So you also need to understand the changing speed, the current components and software plus hardware, and probably transfer it to students. So they know that, okay, this is the up-to-date situation, not 10 or 15 years old vehicle, because 10 or 15 years old vehicle nowadays is not any importance at all. You can forget about it. It's just scrap.
Very correct. And I will keep, sorry, Olga, I will keep your idea about startup weeks. I like very much the idea. What are you doing as Scania in order to collaborate with satellite companies in your area? I think that this is how, the big companies, anyhow, they work. They give work to specialized small companies in order to do the things, and they buy innovation from small companies, startup companies.
Yes,
but I think that
yes.
this is a good idea for the university in Athena, and since Konstantin and the people that they work in this, like to create the Athena Startup Weeks, but with a different philosophy. We are going to ask the municipalities and the small companies what kind of challenges do they have, what kind of projects do they have to announce them to our students. We need to do an online, a hybrid event in order to bring them all together and make this competition to our students in order to try the students now to operate as a solvent. And this is so the startups will be the Scania, and the startups will be the universities in order to address these issues. And we can name them the Athena Startup Weeks from this perspective. I think that we should exploit the ideas and what Darius is providing us. Unfortunately, I think that we don't have unlimited time. Your time, you work in the companies, and your time is precious and it's money. And I will give this to Olga if there are no more questions to close this interview. And thank you very much, Darius.
Yes, thank you, Darius. So maybe there are more questions. Okay, so thank you, Darius, very much. It was very nice speech and such motivational. So thank you everybody for listening, for questioning, and have a nice evening.
One word still. I just remember. I don't know if I answered to Konstantin all the answers, but I think I didn't mention one thing, very important thing. He asked about this, lifelong experience. How can you work so long time? And one thing is how you work so long time, but another thing, why the company should keep you so long time. So there are two sides of the story. What I have learned, and I think you should constantly take it into consideration, and quite many people, this is lifetime learning, and that is the huge importance, especially when the organization and corporation sees that you are investing yourself into today's technologies, into today's learning culture. You might be really important person for the corporation. The thing is that we are living in the natural market development environment. If you will not be the lifelong learner, somebody else will be it, and it will be easy. You will be easily surpassed by the other. So take it into consideration. Be very much focused and progress yourself into this market development with the learning, and that will be also a part of success. Not the whole success, but at least one thing which is very, very important. Yeah.
Darius, thank you for this, but you have already answered this.
Okay.
Because I would like to close this, and I would like to propose something. You say you have replied on this when you say take the extra mile, and taking the extra mile is every day taking the extra mile, and this provides you the motivation on what did you say, to learn and progress and be focused, all the time. Take the extra mile. And I would like to suggest to Konstantin, to George here, and to Olga, I think that what we should create through these activities is like in basketball, before a game, the coach is providing some expressions that motivate the players to play. Yes. I think that we should keep from each one of the speakers, and we have the contact details, to tell us one expression to keep. And from Darius, we don't have to ask him because he has provided this expression. Take the extra mile. So probably we should ask this question to any of our alumni, like tell us one expression that our students, they should keep on their mind, and create the Athena career wall with this expression. And, probably we can provide these messages. I think that they work very motivated. Probably we can discuss this with Konstantin, in the next meeting, that as a group we can have in order to move on this excellent initiative. And I hope that, the students, they are going to realize this after, listening these talks. Thank you, Darius.
Darius, I think this is very important what you said, because sometimes we see that people who work in the same company for a very long time, they get too comfortable in their position. But this is not always the fault of the employee, but also sometimes the fault of the company, because there are no more challenges and they don't have to go the extra mile anymore because they because of maybe what they have achieved in the past. So I think this is really something that we should keep in mind, and something that is very important.
I would say it's both, yes, but it should be a balance, organization and the person. But if you are working in the company for 20 years and when you are getting into the comfort zone, this is very, very dangerous situation already. Very dangerous. You should be aware of it. You don't.
I'm very happy that I'm listening to this, because in the real competition, I don't think so, Konstantin, that the company will be successful if it creates this environment, because of the reason that Darius mentioned. It's a very dangerous situation, because you are going to or getting fired, or are you going to do a big mistake? It's like, when are we doing mistakes? When we feel very confident. It has happened, to me personally a lot of times. When you feel confident, be prepared to do a mistake.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
This is excellent. Thank you, Konstantin, as well, for this. And so, Olga, close it.
Okay.
Thank you, Darius.
So thank you very much, everybody, and have a nice evening. Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Bye to all.